Good morning, good evening, good afternoon. Greetings and salutations, aspirants. Frater et Soros, welcome. Wizard warrior, wanderer, and wayfarer alike. This is a live jive archive discussing magic. So, what is magic? Aleister Crowley wrote that it is the art and science of creating change to occur in conformity to one's will. So, the big difference between magic of the archaic past and of the Aeon of Horus, as Crowley ushered in, was the shifting from the reliance upon pantheons of lesser gods and greater gods and spirits and nature spirits and this kind of thing to utilizing the magician's will as the sole catalyst for magic to occur. Now, I grew up in, uh, born in the 70s, grew up in the 80s and 90s, and intuitively discovered the precepts of chaos magic, which at the time and even now I never knew much about. I didn't know anything about it back then, but even now I don't know much about it really. I haven't read that much. But the general idea that I had awoken to was that it was the magician's will that got the magic done, and in combination with God, the God force. So being humble and taking the view that God's working through you, God working through you, the monotheistic God, Abrahamic God, Yahweh, which some are calling the demigorg now, right? But that's neither here nor there. That God force is what gets the magic done with the magician's will. So any ritual practice that you utilized would be fair game. It could be the pinning of a talisman at like in the style of who was that guy that did all the talismanic magic? Let me see. I was just reading about him. I had a page open to him. Let me see if I can find it really quick. Um, my pages are a little disorganized. That's okay. Was it here? Yes, it was here. So I had opened a line of research into the Hermet, Hermetic Brotherhood of Luxor, the HB of L. And it says in 1870, an adept of calm, ever existing ancient order of the Hermetic Brotherhood of Luxor, after having received the consent of his fellow initiates, decided to choose in Great Britain a neophyte who would answer to his designs. He landed in Great Britain in 1873 and discovered a neophyte who satisfied his requirements and gradually instructed him. The actual neophyte received permission to establish the exterior circle of the Hermetic Brotherhood of Luxor. So this was Max Theon, 22 at the time, a disciple referred to as Peter Davidson, a Scottish philosopher. But where does it mention here? The outer circle of the Hermetic Brotherhood. So, okay, so Pascal Beverly Randolph was, I think, the guy who wrote the original book. But there was mention here of the guy who did the book on making talismans. Why do I not see it? Did I read about it somewhere else? No, it had to have been here. It had to have been here. This is where my inquiries had led me yesterday. I've been here before, but his name seems to be eluding me right now. So there's a mention of Steiner and Blavatsky and Crowley even. It says Theon and Davison were heirs to an already established tradition, influences which go back to at least Rosicrucian Freemasonic ideas and movements of the 18th century. There are, in fact, a number of different, if related and overlapping references. As T. Allen Greenfield points out, there seems to be a parallel tradition running through the 18th century. Fratres Lucius and Asiatic Brethren on the one hand, blah, 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 Freemasonic Egyptian rites, the primordial Egyptian traditions during the Napoleonic conquests in Egypt, passed on to Medamon, Theon, Levi, Randolph, Davidson, and other 19th century luminaries. Aleister Crowley and his successors and heirs within the OTO. Thus, Theon and Davidson and the HB of L had an influence not only on theosophy, anthroposophy, but also directly and indirectly with the Ordo Templi Orientis, and hence Steiner, who was a member before the OTO became mostly Thelemite, Crowley, and most of modern occultism. It says members of they teach that from the incomprehensible center of divinity emanate sparks of the eternal spirit, which, after accomplishing their orbit and great cycle of necessity, constitute the sole immortal element of the human soul. Accepting thus the universal brotherhood of humanity, we reject, nevertheless, the doctrine of universal equality. We have no personal preferences, and no one makes progress in the order without having accomplished his assigned task, thereby indicating aptitude for more advanced initiation. Remember, we teach freely without reservation anyone worthy of instruction. The order devotes its energy and resources to the discovery and application to discover and applying the hidden laws and active forces in all fields of nature, and to subjugate them to the higher will of the human soul, whose power and attributes our order strives to develop in order to build up the immortal individual so that the complete spirit can say, I am. The members engage themselves to the best of their ability in a life of purity and brotherly love, abstaining from the use of intoxicants except for medical purposes, and adjusting one's energy, working for the progress of all social reforms beneficial for humanity. Finally, the members have full freedom of thought and judgment. By no means may one member be disrespectful towards members of other religious beliefs or impose his own convictions on them. Each member of our ancient and noble order has to maintain human dignity by living an example of justice, goodwill, and cleanliness. No matter what the circumstances may be, one can become a living center of goodness, radiating virtue, nobility, and truth. Interesting that I couldn't find the guy's name that I was looking for, though. Let's see, problem loading page. That's okay, we'll try to reload it. And we will try a quick search. See if it comes up. It should. Talismans. It should be. There should be a direct link very close to the fellow's name. I think it's worth noting because there was something of interest in there. Sir Walter Scott wrote one, but that's not who I'm looking for. Does anybody remember who I'm talking about? Let's see who's out in the ideas room. Is there anybody out in Happy Land? No, nobody out in Happy Land today. Okay. Well, this was an impromptu transmission, and I really need to go to breakfast. But Osman Spar, that was his name. It just came to me. Good. I'm happy about that. Let me see if I can pull it up real quick to get the OSMANSP Austin Osman Spar. Spare or Spar? English artist and occultist who worked as both a draftsman and a painter. Yeah, and why were we talking about him at the start of the 100-day challenge? It was because of a video that Free Gift from God sent me. So I'll type it here in the doobly-doo so you can see it. Austin Osman Spare. So definitely check that out. The title of the book is Zoskia. I guess it was in German originally. No, an Englishman. Zoskia Cultist. But that's not the one I'm thinking of. Book on Talismans. Making the Book of Talismanic Magic, an interview with Robert Ansel. Austin Osman Spar and the Zoskia Cultists. The talisman that speaks of the desire primary two magical instruments. The writings of Austin Osman Spare. The Book of Pleasure. Maybe that was it. A book of aphorisms together with an introduction on how to do talismans. Yeah, I think that's the one, guys. The Book of Pleasure. Use necessary cookies only. There's no summary here on whatever website pulled this up, issu.com. I know in the past some of the practitioners here on the channel have given me good links to archives where you can read books for free, and I never seem to write it down and keep it open on a page. The Book of Pleasure, The Psychology of Ecstasy by Austin Osman Spar, 1909 to 1913. Okay, this one is a good one. I don't know if this book is free or not online, but it was written with the sun in Leo and the moon in Taurus at 6 degrees. And it was compiled, okay, by, doesn't say who yet, compiled by Frater Actia Secker Aramanius, Magister of the Order of Phosphorus, Black Order of the Dragon. This digital edition was created especially for initiates of the Order of Phosphorus by Frater ASA at the 4th degree for the purpose of education and initiatory pursuits. This edition is not to be sold or spread further than the initiates of the Order of Phosphorus. In my own foundations of what became Luciferian witchcraft, the gnosis of chaos and order may be found in the art and writings of Austin Osman Spar. Zos Veil Thanatos, his name for witch cult, according to the Kenneth Grant. According to Grant, presents the significance. Spare had a formulating a modern approach to magic and dream control. With the Book of Pleasure, you will find methods of achieving contact with your holy guardian angel, which will further empower your rites and rituals and the ritual, so on and so forth. I have included the introduction by Kenneth Grant from the 1993 publishing edition of the Book of Pleasure. This grimoire is a powerful tool to eliminate the torch of the witch's Sabbath. For many years I have entered the gates of the opposer to drink from the grail of the devil, the very cup of the ensorcelled venom few may taste. Spare's art holds a gateway into his primal gnosis. Seek to drink from this cup as well. So once I had learned about the idea that much magical knowledge will come to the aspirant by way of gnosis, which is directly intuiting something or grokking it, that's when I realized that it was the will of the magician and that the will should be refined. Right? In Kung Fu, we have a standing meditation where you stand and look through the huko of the hand in what's called the the triangle position of standing. It's called the Santi Shur, or three-legged cauldron. And you stand in that, for 3 to 5 minutes, and then you switch and do the other hand, do the right hand for 3 to 5 minutes. And it builds up your E, or your intention, which is your magical will. So I think that's a great practice to help young aspirants. I built up a lot of powerful use of the E. In Chinese, it's E. In Y-I, the E. And in English, it would be best translated as your intention. And the old Latin word, or Greek or Latin, I believe it's Latin, would be volantia. So to cultivate the volantia, stand in a posture where you hold your hand up and out at arm's length, directing your vision through the huko of the hand, and keep the hand up to nose level in front of you and at right above your lead foot. So I can show that to you real quick. So it'll look like this. One hand embraces the idea of a circle down at your low dantian, and the other hand goes in front of you, and you take a step forward, a comfortable amount, and hold that hand, that lead hand, everything on the body rounded. Hold that lead hand at about eye level, like the tip of the finger at up to nose level, right? And then gently cultivate your volantia by looking, keeping the eyes in a direction focused through the huko. Again, everything's rounded, like your hands are embracing basketballs, each finger independently strong, right? None of this closed hand thing. The fingers are open, splayed a little bit, individually strong. This hand, elbows rounded, shoulders rounded, like there's a golf ball under the armpits. Sink down a little bit on that back leg. About 70% of your weight on the back, 70 to 60, and 30 on the front. And then just stand there and breathe to the dantian. If you do this practice every day, during the 100-day challenge, upcoming 100-day challenge, Pathways of the Magician, you will start to more easily perceive auric fields around the body and around other things. Really a great practice. It's called Santi Shur in Chinese. I'll put that up for you guys. Santi Shur. Pull up the Chinese characters real quick so you can look it up on the doobly-doo if you want. Santi Shur. Yep, that's correct. Whoops, didn't look like it worked. Maybe it did work. There we go. It should be appearing now at the bottom of the screen. So the Santi Shur method. And by way of giving up little, running out of time, guys. Running out of time for today. I love y'all, good-looking sex people. Stay well out in Happy Land. Keep practicing your kung fu. Keep practicing your magic. Do your adorations, right? Face east in the morning. Hold out thou Ra. Hail unto thee who art Ra in thy rising, even unto thee who art Ra in thy strength, who travellest over the heavens at the uprising of the sun. Tahuti standeth in his splendor at the prow, and Rahor abideth at the helm. Hail unto thee from the abodes of the night. So it is commanded and confirmed. So mote it be. Y'all good looking sex people, stay well out in Happy Land. Hit the thumbs up, like and subscribe. Come back often. And as we wander into the abodes of the future, ad astra per aspera, do good magic.